Greetings, my acolytes. Welcome back to the archives. I see you have awoken and ventured here to open another holocron. I see your interest in the dark side has peaked since we last met. Welcome back. I have been expecting you. Today we are going to be delving into a lecture and immersing ourselves in the enriched dark side lore, revolving around the being known as the Father of Shadows, the pure embodiment of the dark side. While many would argue that Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vitiate, Abeloth, and even other beings, such as Ajunta Paul or King Adas, are the pure embodiments of the dark side and the overarching antagonists of the entire story. In reality, it is really the Father of Shadows, known also as the Devil, the Shining One. The Father of Shadows is singly responsible for every evil thing to ever occur in the Star Wars galaxy. And his birth name is Nakash, otherwise known as the Father of Shadows. He is the primary antagonist of the Star Wars novel Star Wars Supernatural Encounters, the trial and transformation of Ahul Hextraphon, giving he is behind every evil thing in the ultimate Star Wars universe. He can be considered the overarching ultimate antagonist of the Star Wars Legends franchise as a whole, alongside Abeloth and Ajunta Paul. Typhogem will stand no chance against the Father of Shadows. Typhogem himself was one of the spawn of the Bedlam spirits. So, my friends, let us immerse ourselves into another holocron opening. Let us figure out who truly is the most powerful being in all of Star Wars, and deduce how powerful the Father of Shadows really is, and why he is the pure embodiment of the darkness, and made Sidious look like a child. In order to fully understand this, we have to first comprehend his biography and how he got to where he was. Nakash, along with all of the other Celestials, the beings who literally forged the universe and the ancestors of the ones of Mortis, the living embodiments of the Force, being the dark side, the light side, and the Father to embody the Force, came into existence by the Father of Lights, very similar to the one above all from Marvel Comics, otherwise known as the Supreme Maker. The Supreme Maker, for those who do not know, is the being that all the droids refer to when they yell, "Thank the Maker!" such as the 3PO does quite commonly. The Supreme Maker, through a song, created the Force, an energy field created by the life of the Celestials that binds the universe together, flowing through every living thing, as every living thing is a conduit for the Force. While the Force was created by the life of the Celestials, the Force is what fueled the Celestials, giving them their unnatural superhuman abilities and powers. The Celestials and the Supreme Maker created the Prime Universe and Nakash, alongside the other remaining Celestials, forming a plane of existence called the Planet of Errors, where beings created in the image of the Celestials were made. There, the Celestials dwelt for many untold millions of years. Nakash was made as the second most powerful being of the Celestials, and because of this, his nigh omnipotence, while many have considered omnipotence, being a being who could rival that of even the Beyonders and the Living Tribunal from Marvel Comics. Nakash had the ability to create his own concept of life. Nakash then began having evil thoughts, thinking of corrupting and turning every living being to his side, allowing him to fully have the power and control over all living beings in the galaxy. Against his better judgment, now fully submerged in the dark side, and against his creator's commands, created his own nose, but instead of using it for good like he intended, Nakash used it for his own selfish desires. Creating his own song, Nakash created a discord, an abomination to the goodness of the Fathers of Light, very similar to Melkor or Morgoth from the Lord of the Rings universe. Because of this, Nakash created an abomination, the opposite concept of good, a newly evil one. Nakash literally became the embodiment, personification, and created the dark side itself. This is why he is so powerful. The most powerful of the dark side acolytes, beings such as Emperor Valkorion, Darth Sidious, Darth Nihilus, Darth Traya, and Darth Vader, are all exceptionally powerful beings, but even they adhered to the dark side of the Force. They believed that the Force was above every living being in the galaxy, and this being, Nakash, the Father of Shadows, literally created the dark side of the Force that they adhered to. He literally was the personification of every truly abominable and horrific thing to ever occur in the Star Wars galaxy. Becoming the Father of Shadows, and becoming the ruler of his new dark world, Nakash became the god of evil, the Father of Shadows. The Father of Shadows got corrupted by the own concept that he made, succumbing to the embrace of power that it provided, and transformed into the second most beautiful being, to the most dark and twisted abomination ever. He had truly grown beyond the Force itself. The Celestials were the beings who forged the very galaxy. He was the being who literally forged the galaxy. He was beyond everything. He was beyond everything but the Supreme Maker. Nakash literally weaved the concept of evil into the Force itself, corrupting half of the Force and forging it into the dark side. And because the concept of evil is now part of the Force, Nakash corrupted the Error dimension entirely, making it a conduit, a source even, to all evil, and a place he would eternally rule. Now the root of evil, the Celestials and the natives of the dimension other than the Celestials, went into open, chaotic, and unwavering warfare with one another. Destruction and chaos were everywhere, and millions of lives were lost, while the Father of Shadows gorged himself on all the suffering, very similar to Palpatine and Vitiate were they to do. The Celestials, in their immense power, and the ability to literally manifest stars and create planets, were powerless to stop the Father of Shadows. Because of that, the Celestials were forced to abandon the dimension, which became the domain of Nakash. The Celestials aspired to create universes of their own universes, and the Supreme Maker created the center of the multiverse, a holy place where Nakash's evil cannot infect. One Celestial, called Wustek, created children of his own, known as the omnipotent Bedlam spirits, who would outgrow their father and become truly omnipotent entities. One was named Telotny, another was named Horus, another called Dandasini, and the last was named Splendid At. They were created by their father to serve for the greater good, but the Father's Shadow had machinations for them, plans and schemes that he would not implement for a long time. Finally, it was go time. Through his influence, the Father of Shadows used his immense power to corrupt Telotny, and made her go to commit crimes against the galaxy. This ultimately culminated in a turn of events that created the dark side of the Force itself, and evil leaked into the main universe. The Father of Shadows' evil to this day still haunts the galaxy, infecting it. Beings such as Sidious, Vitiate, Nihilus are all merely players on the Father of Shadows' board, and in the end, he is the true god of Star Wars. The only being that is known to surpass him is the Supreme Maker himself. He's beyond even the wills. He's beyond the Force itself. He's beyond every single being. Beyond Null, Typho Gem, every Sith, every Jedi. All the Sith are merely just toys to him, pieces on a board of his very own design. Palpatine manipulated the entirety of a Separatist and Republic crisis, orchestrating the Clone Wars. However, Nakash truly was able to manipulate the entire galaxy. Though he and evil are prophesied to get vanquished in the end by the Son of Suns, he still imparts his darkness onto a now scarred and worth galaxy. Nakash was once a pure being, but he was extremely prideful and cocky of himself, and used his immense powers and prowess to create an abomination, the concept of evil, to personify true unwavering power. He ever since became a cruel, ruthless, and sadistic governor. He hates the Supreme Maker and wants to destroy the multiverse, cracking it open like an egg, and create a new one in his own image. His ultimate goals are to utterly destroy the Supreme Maker, growing beyond even the literal god of Star Wars, surpassing beings such as the one above all, Eru Ilúvatar, and exceptionally powerful beings. He was entirely content with gazing down from his throne of perpetual shadow, to have a pleasure in chaos and destruction, gorging himself on all the pain, the agony, the pure unwavering chaos that emerged from conflict, as he corrupted error, and watching glee as chaos and destruction spread across the dimension. Overall, Nakash is the cruelest entity in Star Wars, a sadistic deity that many look up to out of fanaticism and fear, inspired by popular villains from other media such as Satan and Morgoth. He is a fan theory that the mysterious Sith Lord known as the Dark Underlord is an avatar of Nakash. He is responsible for every living thing and evil thing that has happened in the Star Wars galaxy, and is truly an omnipotent god. He truly has grown beyond the galaxy itself, beyond the Bedlam spirits, who in their cells were capable of turning one stormtrooper into utter diamonds with a mere thought, killing Princess Leia by turning her heart into a stone. The Father of Shadows was a clear being beyond the power, or even the comprehension of any mortal being in the Star Wars universe. Celestials and Bedlam spirits, possessing titanic amounts of power, and the beings who have forged the very universe, even the Force demon Wutzek, stood no chance before him. His powers are beyond reckoning, being powerful for all intents and purposes. He is literally the personification of darkness. It would literally be impossible to make an argument for the Father of Shadows winning in any single fight besides against the Supreme Maker. The Father of Shadows literally is the god of Star Wars. He's more powerful than Abeloth, the ones of Mortis, the Bedlam spirits, every single Celestial, no, and every other being besides the Supreme Maker put together. He's orchestrated all the galaxies, the plague of the dark side spreading across it like a plague, a curse, to befall everything. The Father of Shadows is an obscure character for the somewhat canon Star Wars Supernatural Encounters novel, a mythological retelling of the entire history of the Star Wars galaxy, and covers everything from the origins of the Force itself to the emergence of celestial entities, such as Nakash, the Father of Shadows. In the beginning there was the Maker, or the Father of Lights, as we recounted earlier, which was basically the Star Wars version of God. The Father of Lights created Celestials, which were pretty much Angelus to angels. One of these Celestials was some man named Nakash, a very deity. However, Nakash rebelled against the Father of Lights, very similar to how Lucifer rebelled against God in Christian mythology. And even his fellow Celestials were powerless to stop him. They had to run away from Nakash, fearful of his dark influence, fleeing into a very different universe entirely. He became the embodiment of all true evil in the universe, the dark side of the Force itself, the Father of Shadows. One of the Celestials, Woodsec, an interdimensional, exceptionally powerful entity that gave birth to the Bedlam spirits. The Bedlam spirits gave birth to another evil cosmic entity, deities like Typhagem and Abeloth. Another Celestial was Elagos, a Force wielder who called himself the Father, and gave birth to the son and daughter. They ascended to another plane of existence known as Mortis, and containing the balance of the Force. Considering the fact that all the Celestials are combined no match for Nakash, it's pretty obvious that the father of Mortis, who was a Celestial himself, as well as his children, Abeloth, Typhagem, the Bedlam spirits, are all mere petty beings to him. Even the Force demon Woodsec is nothing to him, and he was the being who literally gave birth to the Bedlam spirits. Well, my friends, what did you think of this exploration on Holocron opening? The Father of Shadows is one of my favourite characters in all of the lore, a mysterious, nigh invulnerable, nigh undefeatable entity, an omnipotent god, the Devil, the Shining One, the Father of Shadows, the overarching antagonist of Star Wars, not Palpatine. He is a satanic dark figure, just waiting to inflict his pure will and domination upon the galaxy. Farewell, my friends. This is where we part ways. I'll see you in the galaxy far, far away, and beware the Father of Shadows.